After the arrests of 4 former staffers, KETV Investigates is looking into what changes could be coming to the state's youth rehabilitation centers.
The Inspector General of Nebraska Child Welfare opened an investigation in October over allegations of sexual abuse at the YRTC in Kearney. Yesterday, the office released its final report.
KETV Investigates' Madison Perales brings us part 2 of the report. Madison.
The Oversight Office will provide suggestions for areas of improvement after an investigation like this, but there is no obligation to follow these recommendations. However, the facts point to serious pitfalls in protocols and procedures at the facility, which leaves an opening for corrective action by proper agencies and committees. The Office of Inspector General of Nebraska Child Welfare's report revealed more than 40 allegations, the majority unfounded, but some led to serious charges filed against 4 former staffers from the YRTC facility in Kearney.
This amount of consistency and the number of incidents is very different than what we've seen before.
When looking at the gaps, the office found DHHS had stopped its Division of Children and Family Services, or CFS's, abuse and neglect assessments at YRTCs. The Oversight Office recommended the state agency resume this work, saying compliance investigations are, quote, not oriented to the abuse of the youth.
I think we are just not in agreement.
Inspector General Jennifer Carter is referring to DHHS's response to their recommendation. The state agency says re-implementing the assessment would create a conflict of interest.
You could make sure the OJS division does not report directly to the director of CFS.
But in a statement to KETV, DHHS says it's currently exploring possible alternatives with the Nebraska State Patrol. The department says the assessments would be in addition to and separate from criminal investigations conducted by the law enforcement agency.
And I would hope to some extent a moral obligation to these youth who are there to be served, treated, and rehabilitated.
Carter says if DHHS abuse and neglect investigations resume at YRTCs, any substantiated allegation will result in the staff member being placed on the Nebraska Child Abuse and Neglect Central Registry.
It's critical when they're not placed on the central registry. The concern is that they could go to another facility.
As of right now, the Office of Juvenile Services Compliance Team investigates sex abuse allegations made by teens at the YRTC Kearney facility. But the report says compliance does not have the authority to place staff on the registry, even if an incident is proven true.
You miss the ability to place those folks on the central registry without a criminal conviction.
Another recommendation includes developing a law to notify the Child Welfare OIG of all allegations.
It'll just give us a sense of what the facility's dealing with, what challenges may be repeatedly coming up.
Carter says right now, the Oversight Office is only notified of substantiated Prison Rape and Elimination Act, or PREA, violations. PREA is a federal law aimed to protect adult and juvenile inmates from sexual abuse. But the report says the OIG was not notified about 2 of the 4 serious allegations that went to criminal court.
The way the facility was viewing those incidents was not as PREA violations, was as boundary violations.
Carter says she's calling on lawmakers to consider this proposal. In a statement, the Legislative Oversight Committee says it's up to the Judiciary and HHS committees to decide if legislative action is necessary.
Their employees in those facilities need to be held to the same standard that HHS holds the facilities that they license.
The other recommendations from the report include improvements to compliance as investigative and review practices and addressing the, quote, culture problem at the facility, such as operational and structural improvements, which DHHS has publicly discussed the changes already underway. And you'll find those links to that story in this article at KETV.com. Back to you.
Everyone's watching the YRTC. Thank you, Madison.